Alright, welcome back everyone. Garland here bringing you a new Neverwinter video. And today is going to be my first ever Lair of the Mad Mage run. It wasn't too bad. I ran with a fellow streamer as well as some of his friends. Wasn't a very optimal group. We were all familiar with the dungeon and the mechanics. However, this still was my very first time. I hadn't run it since preview, so it's been a while from preview until it made it all the way until Xbox. So yeah, this was my first run. Like I said, we didn't do too bad. The downfall is I didn't want to rush it really, and I don't have all the appropriate gear that I need, unfortunately. So I think I actually ended up taking third overall DPS. We were running 2 warlocks, a hunter ranger, and I believe a great weapon fighter, as well as 1 DC. So we did 4 DPS and 1 healer. The cleric was the most experienced out of all of us. He had been running it all the time, and he's been accumulating all the gear that he needs. The hunter ranger did have his alabaster set. Like I said, I'm still missing a lot of the gear that I need to be comfortable and adequate where I need to be in the dungeon itself. I'm not even at the threshold for some of the caps. I'm still a little short on combat advantage right now, and I think I'm like 1,000 or 2,000 off of my overall accuracy as well. And those are all easy statistics to cap when you get all the new stuff. Like I said, I need a couple more enchantments. I need some darks in my utilities. I need a few more radiants to finish out all my enchantments. I need my alabaster weapon set, as well as I'll be working toward the burning set for single target. I'm missing the ring, the ebonized ring, for the extra DPS damage to stack with my Hag's Rags. So there is a lot of things I'm missing. I'm missing all the new artifacts as well. There's a lot of statistical value gain just from the new artifacts alone. So I still need, 3 artifacts. So was I prepared to do Lair of the Mad Mage? Personally, no. I don't think so. I think I still did it too early. We're a little over a week of launch of Mod 16 on console, and I still think I rushed myself into doing it. Now, we still finished the dungeon, but I just feel, personally, I could output a lot more DPS in this module, and you guys will see that in future runs once I do accumulate all that gear that I still need. So I was definitely under geared. It was the first time running this since preview. I still remembered most of the mechanics. I don't think I died too often. If I did, I popped a scroll. It wasn't that big of a deal. Ultimately, we ended up finishing the run in, I think, 31 minutes. It was my first time, as well as the Great Weapon Fighters, or Barbarian, I'm sorry, that's what they're called now. I think I called them a Great Weapon Fighter the first time. Barbarians. It was also his first time ever running the dungeon. I don't think he even ran it on preview. He didn't know any of the mechanics or anything. So 2 of us first timers, and we were still able to complete the overall dungeon in 31 minutes, which isn't horrible. Now that time will obviously degrade as the module progresses, right? So basically, as everyone starts slowly gearing out their tunes and maximizing their tunes, everyone learns the mechanics. You're probably going to end up running this dungeon in like 23 minutes, 24 minutes, 25 minutes if you're being a little slow. But there's no reason that this dungeon should actually take any more than 21, 22, 23, 24 minutes long. Now, if you're dilly-dallying around, that's up to you. But if you're trying to get through it as quickly as possible, you can definitely do this dungeon within 25 minutes. The boss mechanics aren't terribly hard to learn. So once you do learn all the mechanics, you'll be able to breeze through this. To be perfectly honest, I think the hardest role to actually play, not only in this dungeon, but most likely just in Mod 16 in general now, is going to be the DC, guys. I mean, we were so reliant on our life skill that DCs literally, they were just playing breeze mode for the past 15 modules, right? Then just pop AA, then buff everyone, and stand back and watch the DPS slaughter everything. So I honestly think that this is going to make or break a lot of people that actually played the DC role. So if, for instance, like I said, you're not used to playing a healer in a different class or whatever, then, you know, you're going to have to get accustomed to healing your teammates, because your teammates are going to take a lot of damage, especially in this dungeon, and you're going to have to be on top of your A game. So if you're playing a DC, you need to embrace that role. You're going to actually need to pay attention to the mechanics, and, you know, if you need to toss those hills out, you need to be adequate and quick enough, and your reaction time needs to be quick enough that you actually need to get those hills out. Otherwise, your team's just going to wipe, and they're going to ultimately, of course, blame you. You know? The healer always gets blamed. So, yeah, that's my personal opinion on it, is that if you're playing a DC right now in Mod 16, start practicing. Go into the lesser dungeons if you have to with your friends, and just get accustomed to healing, learning your mechanics as well as your encounter powers to toss out as much healing as you possibly can. Because, I mean, like I said, you don't really need a tank. You can run 4 DPS, or if you want to play it cautiously, you can run 2 healers and 3 DPS. That's completely up to you. If you want to run a tank, you can, but it's not really necessary, unfortunately. So the whole class balancing thing, I would like to see it progress a little more. I still don't agree with it. You know, there's a lot of people that thought that, you know, this was the best thing ever, and now everyone can start new and blah, blah, blah. But I still don't agree with the overall way that they handled class balancing. Now, let's momentarily go ahead and talk about the dungeon itself, which is what you're watching in the background of this. This commentary is obviously coming later. I just recorded it, but I was communicating with my group, so I didn't want to have the communications in the video. So let's actually talk about the dungeon itself. So Lair the Mad Mage, it looks like they spent a great deal of time designing this dungeon. The dungeon itself does look aesthetically pleasing to the eye. It looks like they put a lot of graphical detail into the dungeon. It's actually a longer dungeon. Like, this dungeon, the spaces in between the bosses, it's a lot of rooms that you have to go through and navigate through, as well as different scenery, you know, and they take you through previous mods too. You know, there's a throwback to Storm King's Thunder. There's even a throwback to Lost Mouth in there. There's, you know, several different reminiscence of previous mods that we've had already. So overall, the dungeon itself, I think it looks actually pretty amazing aesthetically. I think the trash mobs, to be honest, are a little weak. We didn't really have problems clearing the dungeon itself. We were running through it pretty quickly. They could have made the trash mobs a little harder, I guess, but I mean, it is what it is. I'm happy the way it is personally, because I don't want to spend any more than 20 to 25 minutes per run to begin with. If they do somehow increase dungeon timers, they need to reciprocate that with the loot drops then too. So, and we know how that goes. We know how they feel about loot tables and, you know, the drop system and everything else. So it is what it is, guys. Like I said, this is a long video. This is a 31-minute video. This was my first ever run through of Lair the Mad Mage. So if you want to just watch the whole thing, if you want to just skip to the boss fights, like I said, I think I finished 3rd overall in DPS. We actually did 2 runs of it. This was the first one, and then we ran another one immediately after. But I wanted to record the first run ever, as I always do, and I've done that for the previous few mod dungeon releases. Unfortunately, like I said, I didn't do a live commentary. This is the commentary coming after the fact, because this dungeon does require a lot of communication, especially with the first boss. Like, if you get stuck in her cocoon ability, you need to let your healer know ASAP that you are in the cocoon, otherwise you're going to die. It's as simple as that. This is one of those dungeons that it's almost recommended that you're in a party chat, or you're in a Discord, or you're all in a 5-way telephone call for all I care. But this is good. This dungeon in particular is going to be very hard for just a random group to come together and do it, unless all 5 individuals are going to be well experienced and they all know the mechanics ahead of time. But even then, if your healer isn't paying attention and you have no voice comms, like I said, just for the first boss is pretty much a DPS check. If you can complete the first boss, you shouldn't have problems with the second and third boss. The third boss obviously can get a little tricky because of all the scorpion ads. But I mean, it is what it is. You guys shouldn't have any overall problems with this, but you do have to have the gear to back it up. If you're 20k, 21k, you might struggle a little bit, but as you get closer to the end of 21k to 22k, and you are running the appropriate gear, because keep in mind, guys, most of the items that we got in Mod 16 are dog shit. We're all still using older items for their bonuses. You know, my Warlock guide hasn't come out yet. It will be coming out very soon. I want to accumulate all the rest of the items I need before I do release any of the builds or guides for the Warlock in particular. But yeah, it is what it is. Like I said, you can finish the dungeon. You know, even if you are 20, 21k, 22k, and you go in there with a group of 5, chances are, you know, you're going to wipe a whole bunch of times, but ultimately you probably will finish the dungeon. Now, it might take you an hour, it might take you more than an hour, but you shouldn't really have any issues finishing it overall. So just take your time. You know, there's a lot of content creators that have already put, you know, videos out there, right? Like PC gets the module before us. They have done this. They have it basically on farming status. You know, they go in there and if they even need to run the dungeon at this point, they go in there, they slaughter everything, and they're good to go. So the module is still pretty young for us. You know, it's a little over a week old right now. Within another week or so, and like I said, everyone starts accumulating the gear that they need, then yeah, this will just be like every other dungeon that we've ever had and every other module release. It'll become farming status. You'll run it so many times until you get sick of it, or you get all of the gear that you're looking for out of it, and then everyone will just be, you know, standing around waiting for Mod 17 at this point. So I wish everyone the luck. This isn't going to be a 31-minute live comm. I don't know. Maybe I'll toss some fruity music in here or something, or maybe I won't actually have any sound at all. I don't know. If you guys want to watch all 31 minutes of the run, or if you want to skip to the boss battles, or just skip to the end. If you already made it this far, we're like 13 minutes in, hey, go ahead and give me a thumbs up so I know you're still around, you know. Leave me a comment below. Let me know you know how fast you guys have run the dungeon so far. Let me know your strategies, or if you see anything in the video that I was doing incorrectly and you want to tell me how you guys are doing it, feel free. I'm always open to, you know, criticism, and there's nothing wrong with that. So like I said, this was my very first run ever of it, other than, you know, I think I ran it one total time on preview just to see how it was and whatnot. And my preview character was fully decked out, so I mean, we breezed through it on preview like it wasn't even a challenge, to be honest. So yeah, give me another week or so to get the rest of the gear I need. Hopefully a week, because, you know, that all depends on RNG. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did make it through the whole thing, let's just say hashtag winning. Just leave a comment that says hashtag winning if you watch all 31 minutes of this video. So I did have fun with it. I think they did a really good job with Mod 16 as far as the campaign aspect goes. But of course, you know, I'm still frustrated. Don't get me wrong, guys. Just because this is a happy-go-lucky video right here and I'm in a good mood right now, because I just did this dungeon for the first time, don't mistake that. Like, I'm obviously still super salty for everything that Cryptic is doing right now. If you've watched any of the latest videos, you know, the cash grab with the stick ponies, the Delver Expedition pack. I mean, that Cryptic is obviously hurting for money right now. They lost a lot of their player base due to Mod 16. They're going to have to slowly gain that back over time, if they can. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in Mod 17, and if we're lucky enough to even get to Mod 18, we'll have to wait and see. So that is going to wrap it up for the commentary of this video. There's about 15-16 minutes left of gameplay. If you guys want to watch that, that's completely up to you. If you want to skip right to the end and just watch the last boss battle, hey, be my guest. I appreciate any and all the support. If you're new here, go ahead and click that subscribe button. No, I'm just kidding. I really don't care if you do. But make sure you watch the video at least. Leave me a comment below, like I said, if you want to talk about anything with Lair of the Mad Mage. I almost called it Lost Mouth. Lair of the Mad Mage. Go ahead and leave me a comment below, guys. Thank you so much for the support over the past, I don't know, what, 4 years now, 5 years now. You guys have been amazing, and I'll see you guys in the next video.